Okay, guys, today I'm going to talk to you about three books that I'm talking to you about because they're very similar in some ways to other books I know you have read and enjoyed, like Hunger Games or Twilight. These books also have another couple of things in common with each other. One, they're all about love and making choices and discovering the real truth versus what people tell you is true. And two, they all have some pretty kick-butt heroines in them who turn their worlds upside down. And we all know how I feel about kick-butt heroines. So, this first book that I'm going to talk to you about is called Matched. And in this book, there's a young girl named Cassia. And Cassia has always accepted that her society knows best. She's been governed by the probabilities and calculations of the world that she lives in, and she trusts the absolute truths and the data that her society tells her about. And because of this, she believes with all of her heart that her society will sort the perfect boy onto her matching screen for her. They will give her exactly the boy that she is supposed to spend the rest of her life with. And so, when Xander, her best friend since childhood, comes up on her matching screen, she knows just for that instant that everything is going to be perfect. But then, another boy's face pops up, and the screen goes dark. And that other guy's face who comes onto the screen is Kai, mysterious Kai, another person that she's known for a long time but doesn't really know anything about. And so at first, Cassia lets the agents of her dystopian world reassure her that that was just a glitch, that she is supposed to be with Xander. After all, Kai is an aberration. His family did something against the society a while back. They must have committed a crime of some kind. Cassie is not really sure, but she knows that he is not eligible to be in the matching pool. He cannot marry anybody, and so of course he can't be her match. But she only lets that reassure her for a while because as she gets to know Kai better, she feels very drawn to him. And first, she gets to know him out of curiosity, and then later it's out of compatibility and passion. But she's still friends with Xander, and he's still her best friend. And so as Cassie explores her relationships with both Xander and Kai, she's led to discover the darker side of her society and what all of this perfection is hiding. And she also discovers that the boys both already knew something about the dark part of her society. They already knew some of the troubling truths that she's discovering, and they're both willing to help her learn more. And finally, Cassia is faced with a choice for the first time in her life. Both Xander and Kai will help her discover more and dismantle her society, but she can only be with one of them. And we all knew in Twilight that Bella was going to end up with Edward, not Jacob. It wasn't a secret, and that Katniss and Peeta would end up together. But honestly, at the end of Matched, while you know that she's probably going to win and end up taking her down her society, because that's just how dystopians work, you will have no idea whether she's going to do it with Kai or Xander. And so now, we're going to go on to our next book, where there isn't a choice in relationships. There's only one love interest, but there's a very, very messed up world. Katsa's life begins the same way as Cassia's, without choice, except Katsa isn't accepting. She is furious about her lack of options. In her world, people can be graced with special skills, anything from strength to memory to disguise to mind reading. Katsa is graced with killing and has spent her life working as a thug, butchering people for a ruthless king. Until one day, Katsa forces the world to give her a choice. She creates a secret council to protect the citizens of her world from the corrupt kings, uses the confidence that protecting others gives her to break away and leave her own king, and meets a man who volunteers to help her. And what's interesting about this man is he's the only one her grace won't let her kill. He can actually hold his own with her. Katsa makes her choices early on and spends the rest of the book dealing with the fallout of her decisions. A lot of stuff, everything I told you, happens in like this much of the book. There's a lot of the rest of it devoted to consequences. And as she's trying to deal with her consequences, she comes up against lies that look and sound a lot like truth. And one truth that may separate her from forever from the only man that she can't kill. So this is Graceling, and that's Katz's story about truths and lies and learning how to fight back. Now, speaking of men you can't kill, we're going to move on to Sunshine by Robin McKinley, our token vampire book. And there are several truths in Ray Sunshine Steadden's world you have to know to survive. 1, vampires can't cross running water. 2, they can't go out in sunlight or even strong daylight. And 3, I'm sorry. And 3, once you're taken by the suckers, you're done. You're out. There's no getting away, and people probably won't ever even find your body. So don't expose yourself to vampires. Get some good wards up. Don't go out at night. Easy enough. So Sunshine, she bakes cinnamon rolls as big as your head in her family's coffee house, dates the cook there, and spends the weekends watching movies with her family. Very normal life, very confined life. Until one night, all of that normalcy and that confinement just becomes too much, and it's too loud, and it's too overwhelmingly the same day after day, and she just has to get away. And so she drives down to the lake for some peace and quiet. And that shouldn't have been a stupid decision. There haven't been vampires there for years. And the lake was very, very quiet. But, of course, you don't hear them coming. Not when they're vampires. The vampire gang that captured her takes her to a mansion where she's supposed to feed their guest, a captive vampire that's shackled to the wall named Constantine. And that's it, Sunshine's figure. Vampires eat humans, and there's no way one lonely human is going to get away from one vampire, let alone an entire gang. She's done. That's what the truths of her world tell her. Except, Constantine doesn't eat her. He starts talking to her. And then they escape together in broad daylight. And that's when the truths of Sunshine's world start to crumble. Suddenly, her world isn't just coffee and cinnamon rolls. It's vampire gangs and staking suckers with table knives. It's magic and demon and police that are out to get you because you're the human that can protect vampires from the sun. And it's working with those same police because they're the only ones that can help you. As her relationship with Constantine develops, and Sunshine discovers more and more of what she can do and what she's capable of, she has to confront one more truth that she thought she knew. What makes someone human? And so, those are our 3 books that are all about kick-butt heroines on a journey to find the truth. And like I said, they all relate to some dystopian novels or some vampire books that you're familiar with, but each of them is their own, and I highly recommend that you check them out. They are all wonderful books with some very well-developed characters and some great plot lines. So I'll let you guys go check out the library shelves and come to me if you have any questions. Thanks.